Hi, my name is Rudolf Frieling. I'm Curator of Media Arts at the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art, and I'm co-curator of this retrospective Nam June Paik that you see. SFMOMA has co-organized this exhibition with Tate Modern in London, and it was co-curated with my colleague Suk Kyung Lee, who is senior curator at Tate.
I'm Andrea Nitsche-Krupp, and I've had the pleasure of working with Rudolf on the Nam June Paik retrospective here at SFMOMA, and we're just excited to welcome you here and happy to give you a little tour and talk about some work behind the scenes.
We've been working very, very closely with the estate of Nam June Paik, who passed away, sadly, in 2006. And we brought more than 60 works into our collection over the last decade or so. And that really is the foundation for what you will see here now in our tour. Nam June was obviously born in Korea, but he emigrated with his family to Japan. And then he continued that journey and went on after his studies at the University of Tokyo. He went to Germany, spent 8 really formative years from 56 to 64 in Germany, had his first show there. His first actions, his first compositions performed, and then he arrived in the US in 1964, but he kept close ties to all his stations throughout his life, and he made the global nomadism, the global movement, really a part of his life and his work and his career, so much so that we argue today he is arguably one of the first transnational global artists in the 20th century. I'm standing here in front of Random Access, and what you see on the wall is a maze or disorganized, chaotic grid of magnetic audio tape. And you also see a machine that theoretically plays back the tape that you recorded, and then you listen to whatever music might be on the tape. In this case, remember, Nam June Paik said, I don't perform the music, I expose the music. So he breaks down the linearity of a tape playing in time and puts it all out there for you to randomly access bits and pieces without even knowing what's stored on it.
The work behind me is TV Crown, an early work by Paik from 1965 that he readdressed in 1999. So what we're seeing is audio waves. There's audio generators on the bottom filtered through an amplifier that get translated into visual patterns on this altered CRT monitor. So we're really seeing sound expressed in a visual design. And this work in particular is meaningful in this retrospective in that it really exemplifies where Paik is coming from as a musician, as someone classically trained as a composer, and his real push to channel and push the boundaries of music within fine art, within performance, within his interventions into the television circuit.
Behind me, you see Camel Saddle, one of his last works from 2005. But what you do not see is that he actually lived with this antique original camel saddle from Mongolia. So you see this little skull that supposedly or allegedly he bought on Canal Street, Chinatown, New York, is a cheap object, reminding us obviously of the passing of all things. And to bring in his friends into his work was one of the most consistent things he did throughout his life. He thought of himself as a Korean who had very strong nomadic roots in Mongolia, just like he was a US-based artist who thought of the Eastern roots of his thinking and his philosophies and his art as much as he thought about the Western history of music. Another one that is right next to him is called Chonggro Cross, which also speaks about his family roots in Seoul, Korea, where his family owned a textile factory in the 30s and 40s. He really led the way in the thinking and the practice of joining things that seemingly come from distant and distinct worlds.
So I'm standing in front of Mercer Digital, a robot from 1988, in one of my favorite galleries, which we've dedicated to Paik's collaborations with John Cage and Merce Cunningham. John Cage, the experimental composer and artist, and Merce Cunningham, who was a dancer and choreographer. And Mercer Digital here, Paik had a whole family of robot sculptures that started with a mother and father and children and aunts and uncles. But here at SFMOMA, we were really pleased to have two robots representing John Cage and Merce Cunningham behind me, whose Paik's really embodied the sort of dancer's pose and creative gesture of movement that so embodied Merce's practice. And then on each of these little screens is a video featuring Merce the dancer with Paik's, fast-paced video edits.
I'm standing here in front of the script or score of a piece that Nam June Paik wrote down in 1961 but never realized. It's called Symphony for 20 rooms, and if you count, it's only actually 16 rooms. We like this work so much because it's at once almost the script for the entire exhibition, but certainly I would argue it is also a script for his entire career. And if you look at each individual section, you will see both the complexity and the density of information and music and noise and sounds. The spirit of Paik, as much as the spirit of the Sistine Chapel, are captured in this unruly and almost raucous energy that you find in the Sistine Chapel from 1993. We had this tremendous pleasure of witnessing a really fantastic, visionary image space by walking through it and wondering at all the images all around us. Well, we've taken you through a large retrospective with more than 200 works, with sounds and music and noise everywhere, lots of moving images and a lot to take in. And the Sistine Chapel at the end is certainly the grand finale of a show. And he likes to think of those works that move very, very fast, that have multiple layers within an image. He likes to think of those as an aesthetic that really appeals to something that you grasp emotionally, maybe subconsciously, that works on you, that has what he calls a gestalt, a whole, and just go with that and feel it, and you will enjoy the show very much.
And it is up through October 3rd. And like Rudolf said, there's so many details to absorb, and Paik's writing is on view in a lot of galleries. So if you have a chance to come up, spend some close time reading and exploring, and we hope to see you. Thanks so much for coming.